Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Good morning, family. Good morning. This is what I look like in the morning. I have sleep apnea. Sometimes I have a rough night sleeping. Eyes puffy. Went out to the club last night to BB King's with my baby. And now the hummingbirds out here fighting over this nectar. How much can we learn from nature? There's 2 or 3 there now. 3. Well, welcome to Victor E. TV. And this is my morning thoughts. I decided to come out here this morning. Some things were on my mind. Matter of fact, several things on my mind, and I don't know which one to talk about. And which one that is most appropriate at this time to talk about. On my spiritual journey, my spiritual walk, just so many things I'm learning, so many things I'm questioning, and this morning I have these questions, and when I come before you, I like to have an answer that God has given me. And when that question comes to my mind, I start to run things through my mind in order to be able to find an answer to bring to you. You know, I know my audience is small. That's okay with me. Because a lot of people say if I can just help one person or change anyone, help anyone in life, then my life would not be in vain. So I have to take that attitude with this channel. My morning thoughts. And they're my morning thoughts. Doesn't mean that it's for everybody, but they're mine. And it gives me peace of mind to know that maybe one day, maybe these things might help someone. But I guess I always say that God would give me exactly what I need to say today. And so, let's get started. I had a good time last night. Went out. And one thing about my girl, we both enjoy dancing. We enjoy being together for most of the time, most of the parties, especially we've been together almost 10 years. And my number might be off. It might be more closer to 9 years. But it's been a journey, and we're getting closer and closer, and being able to tolerate each other a lot better. But I can assume that in many relationships, I'm a long stay type of a guy. I was in a marriage for 35 years. And I think that it lasted for that long, probably more so because it had to be because of me. I came from a family of where I didn't realize we didn't believe in divorce, but I realized that, that's very important to us. I have a sister that has stayed in a relationship for years, and we, as most people would have said, you need to, leave. But because she was a devout, I won't say a devout Christian, but she believed in the Christian faith. In the Christian faith, it says, to death do you part. And I've seen a lot of women who stayed in abusive situations. And I can really look at what she has done and say, what a number one, a wonderful person, a very spiritual person, a person who believed in that Bible, and she has hung in there. So if there is a such thing as this, to death do you part, and a Christian woman, I have to take my hat off to her. She has been in there, stayed in there, didn't leave. She loved this man. But she has taken that abuse because this man did not appreciate her. And even me, if I had not been trying to follow the scriptures, the word of God, as we say, the Bible, I would have advised her to stay also, because I lived that same thing. And none of us are perfect, but because we made that vow, that Christian vow, to death do we part. In every marriage I see, we repeatedly, we go before that altar. She puts on her white dress and you put on your best, and you say, to death do you part, even though you have differences. And why do you do it? Because we do it because we feel sacrificial, that we're supposed to be this sacrificial lamb that's supposed to just take all the abuse and remain there, just like Christ did. They say Christ was beaten to where you couldn't even recognize him. And he stayed there. He went to the grave. He went to the cross. He allowed the world, his own creation, to destroy him, because he thinks that that's his duty to do so. And this is what my sister felt, I'm sure. And that is what I felt, for sure. Even though I knew that I was in an abusive relationship. But mine was a little different. And mine's coming from a male perspective. Because females, they signed this contract to submit. And she felt that it was her job to do this, and she submitted. Now, she knew she wasn't perfect, and she knew he wasn't perfect, I'm sure. But nevertheless, she did what this word of God told her to do. Same thing with me. I knew that I had to submit to God, and I knew that I was not perfect. And my ex understood the scriptures also. This is an intelligent, beautiful, beautiful person and a beautiful woman with gifts and talents, just like I had gifts and talents. And I really did not develop any respect for her until she decided to leave the relationship, because she was not able to submit. She was not able to do the things that I required of her as a woman who was married to Mr. Ezell. And that is not her fault, that's my fault. I receive full responsibility for this. Here I am, raised by a woman, a queen. I was raised by a woman who had standards up here. The same woman that raised my sister, whose standards were up here. But I chose her, not in the expectations of trying to find a woman that could meet these standards of this woman who had carried and trained me. So according to the scriptures, I should have been looking for a woman who carried those characteristics, those traits. Because you go and choose someone whose standards are not here and they're here, and you're trying to get them to reach these standards that are just natural in you because that's what your mother created. That's not her fault. That was not my ex's fault. It was my fault. Because I chose a woman who was, number one, was not going to be taught. As most women, a lot are just not able to submit themselves unto a man, to be taught by them. And that is the mistake that they are making. I hope I'm trying to get this straight in my head because these are my morning thoughts, my fresh thoughts. Even though they're here on my mind, I want to be very clear. This is not about a bashing deal. This is something that I'm trying to understand for our people, to be able to understand what is going on with marriage and what's going on with this foundational belief of how woman and man is supposed to come together and live at peace and create heaven for their children. Your family should be a heaven there. And if there's not heaven there, you got hell, conflict, strife, division. So I'm trying to, I've been divorced for 10 years. And this thing is still in me. Trying to find an answer for the next generation, for our people. And I don't want no false shit. I need real solutions. We need some real solutions. Because I just saw a video yesterday. And this video was this female who has decided that there's a defect in men with the X and the Y chromosome being damaged to this man has the inability to love. That man, period, has the inability to love. And this woman, beautiful. I'm going to try to stay out of my feelings to be able to talk. How did she come to this point to where men are not able to love? I do understand. I started to say I don't understand. But after she told me she had been raped or molested or whatever, I understood. I understood why she has so much anger and how she is building up this army. The sum of it is an army to divide man from woman, to destroy marriage, to destroy what God meant, I suppose, to be heaven on earth, the relationship between a man and a woman. And everything I had to calm down and hear this woman, to listen to her, to walk in her shoes for a minute, to be able to understand the hurt of this woman. And once I started listening to her, I saw it. I get it. I truly get it. But that's not how I feel. about, especially me, let's just start with me, the inability to love, the inability to have sensitivity. And there are other men out here like me. But we have been trained by mothers to put away your feelings, because we have to be the ones who are full of testosterone to, when necessary, to put our feminine side to the side, to be able to go to war for the ones whom we love. This is something that we didn't create.
No. Are you saying, now I'm just asking you, are you saying that men are incapable of loving their daughters? Are you also saying loving their family? Or are you talking about their counterpart, their woman, their girlfriend, their wife? When you say men are incapable of love, does that include the whole, what you're saying?
Yeah, it does. It does. Now, a man can love a car. He can love inanimate objects. He can actually even love other men. But he cannot love a woman, and he can't even love his daughters. You know why?
Why?
Because the male's ego is threatened by women. The very existence of a woman threatens the male. Here's the thing. I got a friend. His dad is in competition with him. His dad does not like the fact that his son is outdoing him. He's not even happy about it.
I've seen
he
women
tries to
like
sabotage
that,
his own son. Right? So here's the thing. The male's ego is too fragile to be happy for other people. The male will not allow a woman to go on and be herself without him being involved. This idea of possession, control, and ownership is the exact opposite of love. So y'all don't even know what love is if you think that love has anything to do with possession and ownership. I mean, Michael Jackson even sung it in that song that he got on Thriller. What was it? She's Out of My Life. She's out of my life. Love, he says it in the song. Love is not possession. The male thinks he owns women. The very fact that he can't allow her to be herself and not what you have to make her be for what you need tells you that you ain't capable of love. You not. Because everything is centered around y'all.
Wow.
I think God meant for us to protect and to provide for our families. But if men have a problem, then we have to stop and think about who raised us, who made us this way. And if we all, they're saying that we all came from a woman. If this is true, I have no problem with it. The scripture taught that we came from man. But if you say, I don't have a problem with that, because I understand that school of thought and that school of concepts. But if you say that we came from woman and that, well, let me back up. If we came from men, then the man should receive the responsibilities of trying to fix this and accept the responsibility of understanding that if there is a problem and we are the head, then the head is the one that needs to fix it. And we need to accept the responsibilities that we dropped the ball and something is wrong. But if you say that it's the female who is the head and the leader, then you need to accept the responsibility of the fact that if there's a problem and you are the head, then you dropped the ball, you caused it, and the problem is here because of you. You want to be the head, then accept the responsibility that you are the head as a female, You dropped the ball. That's a problem, and you need to fix it. Where's your responsibility? And if you're saying that it is a genetic defect, then now you're talking about God. Because we did not create ourselves, and if we didn't create you, then who the hell is the problem?
And if you say that woman is God and it is a genetic defect, then it is the woman God who fucked us up. Take responsibility.
I'm on a journey, just like you are. She is on this journey. And we have to be careful how we tread and how we lead or follow. I'm going to show some portions of this video, maybe. And I'm going to write in the screen as I promote this, as I put this up, the video that you need to go and watch of this particular woman speaking. Because she had some very, very valid points that are very, if you're going to be honest, you just can't overlook. This woman is speaking from passion and from experience, which is where I speak from, and truth. You have to be able to stop and look at this. But I think where she is failing, is that when you decide that you want to play the role of God, and if that is our role, I guess we have to get with it. But it's a very ugly place. This place, I was just having some thoughts the other day, and I had to kind of deal with this issue of nature, survival of the fittest. Do I really want? How do I feel about this survival of the fittest? Because this information was brought to me, and I assumed that God sent to me. I was in a class, and I was reading some of this information, and it was this man, his name started with an H, I don't know, he was a scientist way back, that decided that why was government created? And government was created in order to move away from what was natural, what was nature, which was really the survival of the fittest. The bigger man wins. The smarter one wins. And that's pretty much the life eats life. I'm still working on that one. That one's in my head, and I've got to deal with this one. But when I saw this woman, it took me to a different level. It brought it right up to my face to where it's like, okay, God, nature, creator, she's certainly valid in her points. And I've seen this. I've seen what she has said. But I was so thankful that there was this other woman who did not, she agreed with her, but her foundational platform has been in support of men. But men, we have to be responsible also. Women, you have to be responsible. And your answer is not always just as I've said in the past, in a relationship that I was in, you choose to leave. Now, my sister chose to stay in an abusive situation because she loves God. I tried to stay in an abusive situation for 35 years because I believed in the Word of God. Yes, I'm not saying I was perfect, and hell no was she. She was not perfect either. And my sister's not perfect, and this man certainly that she stayed with certainly was not perfect. But they stuck it out, and they tried to figure out a way. And my sister had to become it turned her into a minister, a minister of the Word of God. And she's full of spirits, full of love, full of compassion. But she sees it for what it is. And because she believes in God, she has remained there. And they've figured out how to live separate, but I guess equal or whatever. And so for me, we tried to find that place. But thank God, as Kevin Samuel would say, 80% of divorces happen by the women. And I thank God at this point maybe for that. Because if she was not able to rise to this standard that my mother put in me, then I chose wrong. It's not her fault. If her standards are here, and that does not to demean her, I'm just saying that they're here, and mine at another place, even if it's here, whatever. That's not to demean her. The point is that if I'm supposed to be the leader, and I'm feeling that my standards are here, and a follower, if you're going to follow, then that means that you're trying to reach a certain goal. And if that goal is to reach the standards of your husband, then he has to teach you and help you get there. You have no business marrying someone and their standards down here and yours are up here. And then you're going to marry this person talking about submit. That's out of order. It doesn't make any sense. If you're women, you should marry. If you're going to move into a submissive role, and you are looking up to him as R, and you already see his standards in here. If they're down here, you are. This is your problem. You saw this man was running all over the place, or he had some standards that you was here. You was holding yourself in purity and all this kind of stuff, and then you lower your standards to get up under this man. That's your fault. Just like it was my fault. My standards are here. I believe in all these things. Yeah, I wasn't perfect, but my standards are here. And I should not have to. But why? Why are they here? They're here because my mother put them in me to make me here, to put me here. And if I go and choose a woman that has standards down here, let's just take an example. Let's just say, and this doesn't necessarily apply to me, but let's say this. If your standards are here, let's say you like for your home to be a neat place, a place of peace. But you marry a woman who came from out of this environment. They might say, oh yeah, I really like nice things and heavenly places, things that are in order and what have you. But she comes from a place of here that she's used to. And she's used to chaos. She's used to doing disrespectful things. She's used to doing things that this person's just not used to. But you bring this person, you're trying to make this person might like it, but they are here and you cannot change people. You can't change, they have to change themselves to say they're going to come up to this point. That you've just made their life a living hell. You've made them a living hell because your mother is the one who makes you who you are. And my mother made me this person to expect certain things here, but you go and marry someone who their mother made them standards here. So they're used to the chaos and all this stuff that you're not used to. And you go and marry them and bring them into, and you think you're going to have heaven? That's what I thought. I thought I was going to have heaven because I thought they would. I always said, if they have a teachable spirit, I can get them here. If they have it, but if they do not have a teachable spirit, you are in for chaos, hell on earth. Because most educated women, if they have not already decided who and how they're going to be and what they want their lives to be like, they are, once they have decided that, and then they marry someone else who their standards are different or above, if they don't submit to rise to that position, you have just created hell on earth. You're not going to be in harmony. If you cannot find, and if you do not finally say, now this is the other thing that I would have had to do in that type of a relationship, or any man would have to do. You have to say, I chose this person, I love this person beyond this standard of what you, and then you're going to have to lower your standard and become somebody that you are not, and you will not be able to stand as a man in your dignity and in your, in what you, how you going to tell your sons and your daughters How you going to tell them, okay, I raised you to not be an alcoholic, and then you go over here and marry a man who is an alcoholic, and he decided that this is what he is, and this is who he is, and you love him so much, and now you think that there's going to be peace because you're going to lower what I put in you, and you go over here and marry them, and now you got to submit to this. You're going to have hell on earth. And you cannot blame them because you married them for who they were. And what is in them, their mothers have already put it in them. The mothers are the first teachers. They're the first teachers. How do you think you're going to have peace? You're going to have some problems. You are unequally yoked. Unequally yoked. I go to the schools. This other story that I'm going to try to share with you is one that I had to just learn the other day. I'm in the schools, and I teach students to love themselves. The first rule, you've got to love yourself, because if you don't love yourself, you don't know how to love anybody else. You've got to first love yourself. You've got to love who you are, and where you are in life. So you've got to kind of get out here to know thyself first, so that you'll know how to choose a wife, to build a family, to build an organization, to build a group, to do anything. Because this thing has to do with submission. It has to do with understanding what is in you if you're going to build this institution. If your standards are here and your partners, the person who you're leading, standards are here, someone's got to be the leader, and it's not going to be this person, and have peace. If this person is the person who says, I want to be a student of this person, then they know how to submit, and they will rise because that's what they want. They want to be here one-one with this person. But if you, and you can only get there by having a teacher-student relationship. Now, I was in the school the other day, and I decided if I'm going, well, first of all, if I'm going to have a successful classroom where I am the teacher and they are the students, in order for there to be peace in that classroom, the first thing that I have to do is get an understanding between the teacher. In that classroom, the students must be able to respect the teacher enough to know and understand this teacher-student relationship. This teacher is going to has got to understand who they are, whose they are, why they're in this classroom, why they are in school teaching, whatever. And it is to have a certain amount of excellence about yourself, so that you can put this excellence in the students, so that the students benefit from being in your presence to rise. Yes, to rise. So she's a teacher. She's a leader. The student has to admit and accept that they are a student in this relationship, and that teacher is there to get them to rise to the standards of the information that the teacher is teaching. Now, if the student does not accept their position, that this teacher knows more than you, and they have been hired, or this situation has been created so that they can rise to the expectation of this teacher, and so that this teacher can, at the end of that year, at the end of that term, give them a grade, a validation of how well they rose in that particular class. Maybe they made 100, maybe they made 90, 80, or whatever. But the first thing that they have to do is have enough home training from the other school to come in, or from home to come to school, to be able to be respectful to this teacher enough so that this teacher can do their job to raise you to the next level of whatever that level has to be. But there's a certain amount of teachable spirit that student must have. they must receive and understand from their home that as parents, they have said, look, child, I have sent you to school to become a scholar or to become to represent my family, so that when you get this education, you're going to come back as with the purpose of learning those things that we sent you out to learn from this particular teacher, this school, or what have you. So the parents' first responsibility is to get this student to understand that when you go to that school, you're to respect that teacher. And that teacher has to, and that parent has to have also prepared that student to be able to go to school. So what should that parent be saying? Son, I'm sending you to school. I know that you're going to be in the environment of A, B, and C. This is how you learn how to learn math. Okay, I need you to be excellent or do the best that you can in this kid. So I need you to be the same respect that you give me in this home. I expect you to give that teacher that same respect, because they have been trained. They know what they're doing. So I need you to go to that school and learn to submit to their authority. And the teacher needs to check out, and you should already have in your mind said, the best thing for your child is to be submissive, be respectful. You should have taught that child how to speak to the teacher. You have a yes ma'am, no ma'am. You should, if they say something wrong or whatever in that classroom, you teach your children, look, if you have a problem, this is what you do. You speak, make sure that you're humble. Do not come back at them just like I expect you not to do this in my home, at the home. You don't have the last say so in my house. I have raised you, and I've taught you how to do. Put the trash, keep your room clean. So when you go to your desk, keep the paper up off the floor. Keep your room clean. Speak to the teacher the way you speak to me. If your child is speaking to you at home, if you did not get all of this out of your child, you have sent that child. You have set them up for corruption. They're going to have some problems because they're going to talk back to the teacher the same way they talk back to you. This is your fault. Take the responsibility off of other people. Now, if you, and it continues that way, I don't know, this problem is big, and I'm going to have to be able to really dissect this and break it down so that you can understand the bigger picture. We have students who come to the school who really take you there. You're trying to create heaven in your classroom so that all the students can feel safe. The other students in the classroom, they only feel safe when that teacher has that class under control. But if you have some little disrespectful students in that classroom, then that causes that teacher to have to change the environment. This is why we have policemen up in the school. It's because parents are dropping the ball. And if mothers, if you're saying that you're the one that's in charge, then accept the responsibility that you have dropped the ball and you have failed. But if you're trying to put the problem on the man, which I, as a man, this is where, as a Christian, I always thought that I was supposed to be the head of the household. So I accept the responsibility that if my child is up here in this school being disrespectful, being unteachable, you can't get along with the other students. If my child is doing that, I take responsibility for that. And it is my job to fix it. But that's the reason why I am so thankful. None of my children, I've raised 3 children, and one that was not mine, which was adopted in. Which always had, I brought him into my home, which always had, when I got him, he was, well, I'm probably going to cut that out of the video. Okay, but my children, not once, and I thank my children let me tell you, I thank you. I'm very proud of you. No one even knew that we had problems going on in the home. But I thank you for my children going to school, and I never had to come up to that school and a parent or a teacher had to tell me that my child was disrespectful to them. Never. I thank you. That's the pat I give me on my back for giving them good home training of understanding that when they go into a classroom, they go into a school, that teacher is your authority. They stand in my position. And you're to give them the same respect that you give me. And I want to thank you. Maybe I should title this video, Thank You to My Children for showing me that I've been a goddamn good father. That you knew how to treat adults and authorities and people who are in positions to make this world a better world. Thank you. But let me get back to the point. And maybe I'll move away from this point because now I think I can see a little bit clearer, and maybe I need to develop some videos along the line of helping parents, male or female, to understand that if you drop this ball, take responsibility for it. I accept my responsibility for this marriage fail. It's my fault because I chose poorly. Not that person was a bad person, no. But when you're talking about Christianity, it talks about order. And if I am the one as the man, if I'm supposed to step my game up to be a good leader and a good teacher, and I married someone who did not have the standards that I had, and I said that they didn't have any good ones. But if you're saying that you're going to be an Ezell, and I say that being an Ezell is about this standard, and you realize that your standard is here, either you have to be cognizant of the fact that when you saw this man, you saw this on this man. This man was well put together, and I say it with pride. Why? Because I had a goddamn good mother. I had a goddamn good father also, who's a humble man, who guided and raised his 8 children to come up. The one thing they can't say is that we're not decent and respectful to authorities. All of us, every last one of us, all 8, with honor and respect for our parents. Now, my problem is that God had to teach me the value of my mother. And I chose poorly. This is not a reflection on my ex. It's a reflection that I dropped the ball. And as a man, I accept the responsibility. But you got this woman out here that is preaching, talking about men unable. She's changing, talking about, she's not even thinking about the black race. She's talking across the entire goddamn world, talking about men are unable to love. You're a goddamn lie. There are a lot of men out there like me who love their families, who love their children. And because you are not able to accept the responsibility for what you have done and what you don't do, you're going to go across this whole damn country talking about you don't care about the black race. And that women need to look at men as though if something's wrong with us because we have testosterone. You are a damn fool. And no, let me take that back. You're delusion just the way I was delusion. And maybe God has raised you up to bring a message for us to say that yes, you're not to be disrespected. And I agree with you. But neither are men who have been raised by women who have put in good institutions, education, have put in good schools of thought, and to try to be that provider and that person that God would ordain him to be. They're trying. But you better be careful, sister, how you tread. And so should I. My ex was not able to rise to this standard. It was not in her to do so, and she had not been taught to be a student. She had problems coming through the school. She had problems with authority. And if she is not able to accept that and look at it for what it is, you thought that just because you were beautiful, that the doors were just supposed to drop dead, gorgeously open for you. You have responsibilities just like everybody else. And until you're able to accept that, the most pride that I got, thank God I was able to tell her this. I gained more respect for my ex when she decided to leave. It hurt like hell. It hurt me like it didn't hurt her. Maybe I gave her some ability to be able to stand up and leave. And I'm saying the same thing to my daughter. My daughter was being disrespected. And I'm so proud of her when she got herself together to leave. Yes, I have a daughter that I have to be cognizant of what she is going to have to go through. You just can't submit yourself under someone's standards who are here. And y'all haven't gotten this clear? If you have not worked this out clear from the beginning as to how this thing is to work, and you have not gotten a good contract together or whatever, I'm saying to my daughter this day, because I'm having to re-examine this Christian thing. Now, yes, if your standards are here together, good standard, I'm not going to have a problem submitting to them. Because when I submit, I'm really probably going to be here, and then I'm going to come and bring that company up. That company's going to get better because I agree with their standards. And I want to be even more excellent and bring it up even further. Because that's the kind of guy I am. But if you marry someone and you know that you're supposed to come up under their authorities, and you have no business marrying that person. You're gonna create hell, especially if you do not have a spirit of student. So, till death do we part. That's someone who is trying to be Christ-like. A Christian. My sister was trying to be a Christian. She stayed in that abusive relationship. Her standards were higher than his. She went into this Pentecostal thing, took off all the makeup, all that fake up and all that stuff, which I got a problem with. I like beautiful women who make up. But she did what she understood the scriptures to say. And she stayed in an abusive relationship. Till death do she part. And that is to be commended. Under Christendom. But this is the reason why I'm having these questions. It's because that was not good for her. In my opinion. How far she could have risen if she'd have understood and knew who she was and loved herself enough to know that your mother has made you a queen who don't accept such things, and she made her sons kings. And we do know how to love because we had a loving mother. So this woman who's going out spewing out that men don't know how to love, you need to check out your mama, his mama. Because I had a goddamn queen. And let me say to you also, men. Now, I'm gonna put that in another video. But if you're calling your wife a queen, you better. If she does not rise up to the standards of what you think a queen is, what should be your mother, that's the person who raised you. And if you think that you're all that hot shot shit, then that means your mother should be hot shot shit. Know thyself. Now, I have another thought that I want to talk about, but I'm going to end this video so that I can start the next one. But because these are my morning thoughts, and I want to stay in continuity with the other videos, so I have to put on my smile face right now. Okay, I have to put on this. Hopefully, I found in some way a resolution for this day to come forward so that I can produce this video of morning thoughts. I have to find that joy inside in order for me to say to you, peace.